myself to do it, and then afterwards, just like, oh yeah, I get what he was trying to explain to me. I should have knew how to do, but.
So you didn't learn from videos? You didn't learn from videos as much?
I've honestly never. I've watched Dave Tucker video one time, and I've watched the Dave Mcnese video one time.
Yeah.
I've never watched a YouTube video on fly tying.
Huh, cool. And just books.
Yeah, just read books and started rapping.
Should have seen him beaming up in the rafters yesterday when we shook Shuey's hand.
He just took one of my thoughts. That was freaking awesome, dude. Since tag,
in the parking lot a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was pretty cool.
He's down to earth. He's people,
Yep.
man. He's real people.
Just a guy.
He is.
Yep. Now I run my tinsel. I always, so you can see, like I said, I always like to work my way back and then work my way forward. So I know, my tinsel, that's where it's going to start. That's where my thing, and that's where I'm going to end it, I like to always go back to forward. Sorry, bud.
No, you're good. No, move around. I can adjust this however.
It's like, so you guys can see, it's kind of hard seeing it back
I can
there.
zoom in. Move it around wherever you need.
We're good. And the other part with the thinner stuff is like on this stuff right here, when you're wrapping over the top, when you got wider, man, it could really put a big hump in there. When the smaller you got a smaller area that you're gonna mess with anything. It's not gonna hump up as bad. And I always kind of go down and then kind of pull out. See that? Kind of just hit the edge and then it pulls and you can feel it just set on the edge. Set on the edge. Oh, you're good, bud. I'm definitely good to see you, bud.
Definitely. Hey, I'll hit you up on the line.
Yeah.
We'll get together.
Sounds good, buddy. Thank you, sir. You too.
Who's that?
Dave Clark, or Robert Clark, fly fishing vet. He just does a lot of stuff with the vets and stuff like that. He actually runs the page Northwest Fly Tying. He's got a picture of trout like him. He's letting go. He ties a lot of the streamers and stuff. Awesome guy. I mean, he right off the bat. Any of the vets, man.
Northwest Fly Tying magazine or?
No, a group.
Oh, group.
Northwest Fly Tyer, I want to say.
Okay.
Something. I can't remember a group.
Yeah.
Let's see what it is. I only know half these I know by the picture. Fly fishing in the Pacific, that one. He does that one.
Oh yeah.
That's Robert.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. He runs that one.
Cool.
Awesome guy. Great guy. And he really helps a lot of stuff with the vet. I mean, that's what his tag is in Instagram, is fly fishing vet. This is a little. I really like the pole, even regular floss. You're just kind of getting all the kinks out of it and getting it, when you're pulling it tight, it's getting it to lay real nice and flat. I need to get a burnisher. I don't have one yet. Someday I'll get a burnisher. Huh? Sure. You did?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'll use that thing. I've never used one. You want to see what I use? I'll show you.
But I think it's
You're good.
the other bag.
You're good.
I got a teddy bear.
There you go. This little thing,
Oh yeah.
it works. I don't get too crazy like I've watched. To be honest with you, when I read about burnishing, I thought literally it was like a hot rod. They kind of like, what the? then someone right in my future and showed me what burnishing really was. A lot of time when you do it right, you really don't have to.
And what is that doing? That's just
Smoothing it out.
that's it, just
Yeah.
smoothing it out, yeah.
Just making it nice and smooth. Get a nice, pretty glass, smooth.
Yeah, it is.
If there was any humps in it, you could. Now we're coming to the part that I suck at. These damn topping things. They are tough. I do not know how. Some guys do it like it's nothing. And I don't care, knowing that most of my flies are getting fished that are a little bit off. I try to put them on straight, vertical. It don't happen very often. I'm just doing one pretty nice one. Usually I find that one it's about the length, the whole feathers I typically like. But since we're going for a pretty fly today, we're gonna make her a little bit nicer. That might be half the reason why.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, dear.
I'm back again.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm glad you're here. These I kind of go get a good soft set. Yeah, topping. And then I give it a couple good.
There you go.
There we go.
It's good to see that I'm not the only one that does that. I like that.
Now comes the hard part. Because I left my
Oh, yeah.
little blue holder.
I mean, refread your black.
I gotta just get this damn thing.
Call me Marley if you want.
Are you Marley? Is that your name?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure? What's your brother's name? Dylan?
Dylan.
Are you sure? I knew that. Hi, Eileen. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. You don't need any video watch. You got a big audience. Sit over with Jerry.
Well, oh, I see how it is. You just don't want to watch me.
You got a crowd.
I know, having
These
fun.
guys don't have anybody.
Right? It happens. I don't have any of the fancy tools. It's the way I've been doing it forever. Man, them scissors are crazy sharp.
What kind of scissors are these?
Langertons that I know of. I just got them over there the other day. I mean, they've seen 3 flies,
Yeah.
so I mean, man, they're crazy. In fact, I just tried to cut something and I nicked that floss and it's rubbing. It's great. Hold on. There. Now put a little bit of topping in there.
Hey, do you have the same bird as that my dad does?
I bet you we have some of the same birds.
I have one of those, yes.
He has the same. My
You know what
dad
this
has-
is called?
No.
Golden pheasant.
I know.
Now, if I'm good, I can get it. See, I can. Where still some of the stems attached. I rip it pretty good. When you keep some of that stem attached, I have a lot better time of setting it where it holds the color better. Otherwise, it wants to roll, and you can see where it's. Part of it looks real orange and dull orange, and part of it's not dull orange. And
We slept in somewhere.
you did what?
House.
Best Western.
Best Western. That's what we select.
Tell me where there was good beds that we slept on.
Best Western.
Guess what?
The hotel.
I slept at the Best Western too.
He was there too.
Really?
Yeah.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't see you there.
Yeah.
I always kind of just check my verticalness every once in a while.
You want that to be just pretty much right.
Straight up and down, yeah. You know, you line your kind of your hook with a shank. You can see you want it setting pretty good on top. I mean, it's going to move a lot in the water.
Yeah. But you're rarely putting materials on the side or.
Yeah. There's just flow. I think it. You know, if you put stuff on. There's keels like I've seen guys put stuff on the side typically to make your fly kick and do stuff. Not with the D, that you get that out of your wings, you know, like on an Akroyd and stuff. I think that's one of the things. Not very many people fish the D's. You know, that's a vertical. That's a Spey. That's more of a Spey.
Okay.
So I'm doing more of like the Akroyd D wing like this, where it's flat.
Oh yeah. Oh cool.
That's the D.
Is this what I haven't looked at like shoes, but he's got the Spey flies in.
Yeah, his is Spey and D's. And the D, my idea with the D is one, or this another D. That's basically, this is the original version. It's an Akroyd. It's a little bit different, but that's an Akroyd.
And Akroyd is just a
Name of a fly.
Oh, a fly.
Yeah, white-winged Akroyd. And see, it's got the flat wings, you know, and everything you read about the history when there was what it's called Gled.
Gled?
Gled is actually a kestrel, I believe,
Oh.
or some kind of a hawk. And when you read about the old timers, what they said is when Gled, it acted like scissors in the water. It gave a lot of movement when you set them low like that. And from what I read, and I just found out, they were extinct. They're not extinct anymore. Is it what's Gled now? Is that kestrel?
See that guy right there? He said you're a shitty fly.
That's all right. A lot of people might say that. I heard you said that to me.
That means you're a good fly.
Okay. Okay. But you know what's Gled?
That's little kids who fly the
What's Gled, Dave? Gled, isn't it kestrel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's kestrel is like in the traditional on the D River. That was the most famous
It
wing.
was a big one.
Yeah.
Kite.
Yeah,
they're called
kite.
kites.
Yeah,
They were-
kite.
they were-
Okay.
And what they said is it went extinct there.
I got one feather
Right.
from the museum years ago from Smoot.
Yeah. It's awesome. Well, and from everything I can read, turkey's basically used now. Turkey is pretty stiff, as everyone knows. Well, when you read about the old stuff is that movement. Well, the closest thing I could think of in my mind that's soft is either like goose shoulder. I haven't got to use swan, so I'd assume it, or like floor can bustard. Floor can bustard really. I didn't bring any that have much of it in it. I have a couple of out, but it's really soft and it really moves. And I mean, when you grab it, you can get really good bends. So I'm assuming it's the closest thing to Gled, and they said that that's what made that fly on the D so killer. I mean, it was a killer fly because of the wing. And they said once it turned over to turkey, it wasn't as deadly of a fly. So that's what that's what the whole idea of the low set wings was, is to get a movement in your wings too. Plus it's a different plane, you know, where water can grab it, your wings are flat like that, you know, like a jet. It's gonna move different. It's not very common. Most common space type flies, you know, are your bronze mallard wings, or I do a lot of the married wings, but they're softer and they're vertical, so it's more of a jet line stream. It's just more, it goes right to your legs, so the legs are really moving like this. But when you get that wing on top, it's kind of getting some wiggle, you know, the currents grab it. I think it's different.
Yeah.
I think it's a different idea. It's something different to show the fish that they don't see everything.
About that, like you've got this, everything you're describing,
Yeah.
and you look at like an intruder, which is
Right.
just this, and there's still something to that too.
Right.
There's a lot more material flying everywhere.
Exactly,
Like,
and it's different in consistency. You know, the marabou. If you don't have a turkey or something or whatever, a post, the post behind it, it's gonna just suck right down to the body, and it's gonna be just a just a big shimmering wiggly thing. But if you get that movement, I mean, marabou's it flows and moves. It just, yeah, it's gonna, those long legs, you know, a lot of people put the Lady Amherst. Well, that's real stiff, so the current's gonna keep it. It's not gonna be able to collapse everything all the way down. It's still gonna allow it to stay open. And it hits pockets of fast current and slow current. It's gonna kind of, you know, it's gonna be up here in the slower tangle, and then doing that as it's going across. There's so much different, you know, about that current. You never know which one of those currents, you know, if it hits a soft spot right in front of the face, it goes poof.
Yep.
Still, it's like, oh shit, you're getting your ass hammered.
Yeah.
Boom. It's not as common with the Spey styles. You're not going to get you're going to get a lot more movement with the intruders because of the material's so much softer with the marabouts and stuff like that. But you're getting a lot of the same attractions. You know, like if intruders are just a lot easier to tie. I mean, they are. The Speys, it's you're putting yourself into your fly, and when it pays off, you're getting a lot more reward.
This would be a good North Umpqua fly, right?
That is called the gray heron. That's one of the most classic Spey flies that there is.
Yeah.
That's an original Spey type pattern.
Okay. Yeah.
I gave away my Spey dog, but that's a Lady Caroline.
Oh, that is right there. Oh, cool.
That's the Lady Caroline. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's my version of the Lady Caroline. And the other idea I like the Akroyd idea too. It's one of the only flies that I noticed where you got dubbing in the back and floss in the front. Probably one of the most interesting reads I've read is Advanced Steelheading by Deke Meyer. Look of flies is one thing, and we all try to make them look pretty and everything like that, but it does no good if it's not function, and that's what you're trying to get. Like with the Akroyd, I mean, it's going to be a fly I'm tying similar to this, so you've got more mass and more catch in the back. That's got to do something with that fly in the water, you know. If everything's streamlined, it's going to do it. So you got catch in the back and different wings. It should be doing a lot more play. It's just going to add more natural. The current's going to be able to move that fly a lot more distinctly and differently than a streamlined fly. I mean, like a jet fighter going through the air. Well, all of a sudden you're going, it's just Mach 90, 100 miles per hour. Well, something like this where it's got a little bit more catch in the back, you know, a little bit more current's going to maybe make it wiggle or something. Steelhead are different from what I've never fished for Atlantic salmon, but from what I read is, you know, Atlantic's steelhead, how often do you see a natural just straight dry fly drift catch steelhead? That's skater. You got to have movement. You got to do that. Salmon, you watch some of them videos, man, it's just perfect natural drifts, and they come up and boom, and smoke it. They do skate and catch them too. But from what I've read, it's more of the consistency too on the swing. It's a, you know, a nice cast, a nice smooth. That's what gets them. Steelhead, they're kind of like more of a cat, I think. With these flies, you got the movement, and you kind of get with the Akroyd style. You're kind of getting a little herky jerk. Oh, that thing just jerks right in front of my face, and to all theories. I mean, nothing can be proven, but I mean, it makes sense in my mind of what's trying to make them work. We're trying to do everything we can do to elicit a strike from a fish that doesn't eat 90% of the time that we're fishing for them. Until they get like on the Snake River and stuff, those fish grab. I really swear that those fish turn back into trout, but it's a completely different fish than one that's a mile out of the ocean. That one a mile out of the ocean will kick your ass up and down the river, and those are that's the epitome of a steelhead. I mean, those fish are a different being. Let's get some. I'm gonna do some more Langerton. I'm gonna do some silver embossed.
You know, I think there's an advantage having that dubbing in the back too. I call it the Velcro factor.
Oh yeah, like
It's like
sticking their
yarn.
teeth. Yeah.
Piece of yarn, you get it in a steelhead's mouth, he has a tough time getting out of it because of
Right.
his teeth.
Right.
The same factor applies when the dubbing is on the back.
Yep. That's true.
You can't
Very
spin
true.
it quite as easily if he wants to.
Sorry, that's flat and embossed, and then I'm going to put silver oval what I like to do, especially on the Akroyd, because there's no counter ribs at all. I mean, you can add one if you want. And I like to sandwich my hackles between two ribs. Really protects that stem. Your stem is everything on these type of flies. If it breaks, hackle comes off. Basically, you don't have any. I mean, it could be an effective fly, but you're going to cut all that because then it's just a wad of hackle going down there. You don't want it to. You're trying to protect it as much as possible. I didn't have any neck, so I have this slopping. I'm gonna strip one side and make her work.
Not saying that right. It's shaloppin. Shaloppin.
Every time I text somebody on my phone, it tells me I'm not saying it right too. You got any slopping? If I was using a regular neck hackle, I wouldn't strip one side because it's slapping. I am. I tie everything in the way I'm intending it to work. So I'm going to do the flat silver, and right at the end, right above it, I'm going to put the slapping, and then right behind it, I'm going to put the silver oval, and that's the way I'm going to want it to work in the fly. And for some reason, with the classical scents, they almost always run the oval in the back. Not very often do you see oval followed by flat silver or something like that. It's always the flat and then the silver oval follow. I think it has to do with something protecting this. You know, it's kind of a bigger hump in the back, so in their teeth, they can't really ever get to the stem. There is a reason for it. And since I know I'm dubbing this part, I can leave a little bit fatter section back here than I like, but you know you're dubbing over the top of it, so just let it roll. You don't have to do everything super tight when you're doing it like this. I watch other guys when they tie faster than me, they don't keep everything tight together. But usually when I'm covering tensile or something like that, I keep everything super tight. It just appeals to me and my security blanket. Damn it, I forgot to use that stuff. I was going to use that today. See what it was like. Oh, look at that. So basically it's an Akroyd. That's the original color scheme. Orange or yellow in the back and then black up front. Steelhead, love purple, and fuchsia. So I got a little hot spot of fuchsia. I'm going to do a purple back section and then a black front section. A lot of people use dubbing loops and stuff. I never have, unless I was doing like an intruder style. I can just do it between my hands. I can get it super thick and I can get it super thin. I love it, being able to go with just getting it thin as possible. Especially when I know I have a hump back there, I don't have to get my body super thick to cover it up. My dubbing can stay nice and thin and I'm not doing a super thick fly or a super thick body. also like to pick my dubbing out a lot where other guys don't. I like just that extra little color flow. You know, some of the most deadliest flies that I know of that actually work have very small, minute movement in it. You know, probably one of the most productive trout flies I use is I wrap peacock or marabou in by the tip like peacock curl, and just that subtle movement and just a little tail. And the lakes, they usually don't let it swim by them without taking a grab. It's very lifelike, you know. I guess that's one thing that's good about a dubbing loop. If you do it, it might go faster. I don't really typically rush my time. That's just me. That's about halfway, pretty close to. Now we'll start with the ribs. I used to wrap the flat, then wrap the hackle, and then wrap the oval behind it. But I was always getting a big, huge flat spot right there. So I've learned, I watched somebody do it where I can do the flat and the oval just far enough back where it just leaves us, you can see the dubbing between it to then wrap my hackle, and it leaves a cleaner spot up front. I used to not do that, and it was hard. Made it a pain in the ass. I'm kind of picky about my ribbing spacing. I really like it to look pretty even. I don't think it matters, but the details make the flies pretty.
What's your favorite to shoot pattern for steelhead?
I've had a hard time not fishing a general practitioner, honestly. That used to be my favorite. I recently had kids and all that stuff, so I haven't got to fish even close to as much as I've wanted to. But I know purple works really well there. Purple and blue.
Yep.
I've never seen it go wrong down in that canyon. Even spinners, you gotta watch guys go by a spinner. They got a purple blue fox or a blue fox on. I pay attention to what gear guys do and with their colors. I mean, that's just part of me. I mean, if it works, there's a reason why. I don't know why, but there's something consistent about certain things. I pay attention to those little details and try to use them to my advantage. You know, any advantage you can on a fish that's not supposed to be eaten and it produces. You know, these are fish of 1,000 casts. Might as well make everyone count.
Mom says, looking good, babe.
Nice.
I was watching a guy over there rafting. He was doing a kind of crisscross raft with his.
Weaving?
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's just like one way up, and then the other one is going the opposite.
Right. That's a counter.
Yeah, where's that from? Is that you don't see that often. But
It's in the
Oh,
classic.
you do see it inside?
Oh, a lot.
Okay.
Like, see, that one's got it. The counter, it's a counter rib. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
It's a counter. That's holding your stem.
Yep.
In fact,
Oh, so that's the counter wrap
there's
for
two. There's two things that the classic Spey flies did. One is your hackle ran opposite of your rib. So if your rib's going this way, the hackle ran that way, and then so you'd wrap us flat, and then anything kept going. You'd wrap your flat, then you'd wrap your hackle the opposite way, and then any other rib you had was going over your stem,
counter-wrapping
over your
thing.
stem. Yeah. And then the other way to do it is run a counter wrap while you're something that's following your rib. And I can see I'm trying to leave a little gap in there,
Yep.
trying to make it.
Yep.
That's the first time using this oval's a little bit different. It's different. Rolls a little bit more than what I'm
making
used
that
to.
oval?
That's the Lagerton stuff.
Okay. Do you like it or not?
I do like it. It's not, when you're used to using something.
Different.
It's a little bit different. It'll take a little bit you getting used to.
Not wrong. Different.
Yep. Now I'm trying to gotta get this thing going right down there. I don't really need the hackle pliers, but I like them. On the finer stems, like this is a pretty fine stem, I like to have the hackle pliers because I don't want to pop as easy. Always as I'm working it down, a lot of guys are good at folding feathers. I'm not. I've tried putting the thing, and running my scissors down it, and usually I break my stem. So I'm not very.
Don't use these scissors.
Yeah, no way. No way. I'll.
You tie some of these?
I do.
Cool.
A couple of those are in here. Here's.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
That's.
Where's your box?
There we go.
And some of his are in here.
All right.
Flat swap.
Yeah, nice.
Keeping it real. I always do a couple extra turns at the front just to give it a nice little poof of color.
The pretty ones.
So is that the biggest difference then? Is the wing between the D and the Spey?
That's a lot of the difference. I mean, the real difference is that an original Spey was only fished on the Spey River.
That's right. Yeah.
Original D was only. It's like.
Yeah, but the style that D.
Yeah, it's a style. That's one of the big difference. And
No fancy colors.
yeah, Spey flies typically don't have a tail. But literally, Lady Caroline, being one of the most famous Spey flies there is one of the very few that actually had a tail. But yeah, the D, the wings are pretty much the style that really sets a D apart from a Spey, in my opinion. The style. There's two different sets. There's horizontal and vertical set D, but both of them they're split. They're big and split. I'm not very good at the vertical set, but I've been working on it. I typically tie the horizontal. I like the horizontal set, and like I was saying before, with how it's going to affect the fly and make the fly move in the water is what really appeals to me. I mean, not only are Spey flies and D flies beautiful, but there's also a lot of function. There is a lot of great things. I mean, I really think the intruder styles, the movement is based off a D fly or a Spey fly. I mean, everything. There's so many good aspects of the style that have fish enticing qualities. A lot of movement. I mean, nowadays you got any color you want. If they want purple, it's not hard to make one in purple. If they want black or blue, you can make them in whatever color you want. But there's every aspect that you can have to make one strike is in the flies.
The cool thing about this fly is you could throw a little wing on this one right now and
Yeah.
just be it's done.
There's
If
a lot
you're
of-
short, you know what I mean? Like it's a fly right already.
There is. I left them at home, but yesterday, I mean, I have a double wing
Yeah, basically
D.
everything's just kind of.
There's very common to do it. What they call a double wing D.
Okay. Yeah.
Like shit. The last one I did was a basically a purple Akroyd in the back, or
Yeah.
blue Akroyd in the back, and a purple
Yeah, I was
Akroyd.
gonna say, what about doing that? What about doing the D style for the back wing and then do the Spey?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done it. I said I don't have any of them, but I've tried it.
Or
It's,
vice versa.
yeah, you wouldn't want to do the Spey fly wing in the back. Well, yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. I was thinking it's kind of more vertical, but you could do it. All right, now there's the back. That's just. Look good. Getting her there. Now the front's going to be all floss. I'm kind of particular about how my tinsels and stuff roll. I like to make them look like I never stop tying. It's kind of it's just my. So I really pay attention. Having a rotary vise really helps, so I can spin that thing around, find out where it's close, and tie it in. And now that I'm tying, since I know this is going to be floss, I leave a lot more of the tinsel in there to keep the same thickness of the body rolling. Now comes out the good hackles. I'm going to use the black dyed stuff this time. I still prep everything. You know, some people don't. You don't have to. You're going to cut it off anyways, but that's just I like a nice clean grip. Same thing as that, it's the same way as the back. When I'm wrapping my tinsels, I know I want my flat to go first, my hackle to go second, and I'm protecting that stem with the oval, so I tie them in the exact same way. This part's the tricky part because that front's going to be floss, so you got to make sure you're keeping everything nice and smooth. That's in there.
Is this where the wrap 4 wraps and then unwrap 3 and then
No, you can't. It's happened. Sometimes it happens, but typically it doesn't.
That's more. Is that more like it when you eat salmon sort of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, these flies are invented by Atlantic salmon guys, so you can get that same precision with it. And I mean, it might happen where sometimes that's what you need to do, but typically it doesn't. And see, I'll always leave my tags really long, as I know I'm flat. That way, if I were to just tie it in just a little bit, cut it off, it's going to leave a nasty little hump in there. So I leave them a little bit long, close to where I know I'm going to finish with the head of the fly or collar and all that stuff.
For evenness sake.
Yep. For thickness of your body, so you're saying. And that's a little bit tougher sometimes when you got the blind eye, because there's certain areas, Right now I'm at the end where the tags, I tied both of them at the bottom, so it's kind of a little natural hump anyways.
What's the blind eye?
The loop.
Oh, just that loop.
Yeah. So I can see that's going to be I can see a hump right there. This is where I can go back, but you can see as I'm working back, it's going to stay the same thickness, even, getting a nice even body.
And do you put your materials that you're wrapping over? Do you care whether they're on top, side, or bottom?
It all like the whole back. I'm trying to make it look like I never stop tying. That's my intent.
Yeah.
So the rib looks nice and even through the way. Since I had to cut off the rib, that's what when you got a good rotary vise, you can see exactly where it was. Well, I tie it in to where it looks like that next piece is just going to be turning like it never stopped.
How you doing? I was here last year and I got you some amnesia. Mine, you were tying just those little tiny guys.
Get everything super nice and tight to where the back. Now there is going to be somewhat of a taper from the back to the front. I mean, you kind of want that. You kind of want it to come down. So if you're a little bit thick here, but it has a nice even taper along the back, it's okay. What you don't want is just humpy stuff and lows and highs. Then it looks not very good. It's hard to hide with the silk. You can do it. I mean, with other floss, it's a little bit easier to hide your thicknesses. With silk, it's not as easy. At least for me. Other people can do awesome with it, I guess. Not me. And thank God I'm using black, because if it wasn't black, I'd have to put a tinsel underbody underneath that, and they can kind of get pain in the you know what as you're working with all that stuff.
To keep it bright.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've done it. I mean, that's traditional. The colors, though, of an Akroyd anyways, is that yellow and orange in the back and black up front.
Are you going to have to cut any of that material out of there, or is it
Yep.
got all covered by thread?
I will here just a sec, bud. You'll see. Once they get close to where I know like my head and collar is going to be, then I cut it off. But it, as I wrap it, I mean, it gives it a pretty nice, good taper, and that's what you're looking for. You're kind of cheating by keeping that tinsel underneath there, but it's really the only way that and it's efficient way to get a nice even body by just hiding, all your tags up underneath there. But do be careful when you're using real metal. I like to kind of pinch it down pretty good. Now, let's wrap the silk for.
Have you ever got to that point and pulled on it and it came out?
Yes. Oh no, my eye? I haven't. Once you test on it, from the beginning, you're pretty good. There's a couple hundred wraps over it by now. What in the hell? It's the one pain about silk. Anything it wants to grab. And it wants to grab this damn feather right now.
What's the advantage of silk is?
Its ability to really sit and be. I mean, you can get a mirror shine on it. It's expensive. That's the only advantage of it. It's niceness to work with.
Yeah.
And say you work with silk. I mean, like I said, I have every color. I'll use anything. If I like the color, I'll use it. I just happen to have black silk, so if I have the color I like in silk, I'm going to use silk over anything else. But I'm not afraid to use. I'll use ultra thread, 70 denier ultra thread, and I'll turn it into 2 or 3 strand floss, no problem. And it lays nice and smooth, and you get some great colors to pick from. Their purple is gorgeous. I'll use it any day of the week. Got some nice blues and stuff. Silk is the best, but I mean, you can use anything. It's a lot of long, tedious stuff to get good, to get it. I mean, little details matter, you know. But it's worth it. I mean, these fish are worth it. You know, you spend enough time, and that's what's intriguing to me about this style compared to like the intruder styles. I know that the intruder styles are effective. You know, how effective is a yarn turned into an egg?
Exactly.
You know,
How many people have caught them on just a yarn ball?
Exactly. You know, it's what you get out of it. You know, if I'm gonna fly fish, this is the way I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
This is my personal choice. However you do to catch your steelhead, catch them, man. Have fun.
Yeah.
Whatever you get out of it, get out of it. I just enjoy putting this much work because the fish is worth it to me. One. And it makes that fish that much more enjoyable to catch. It's a memory you'll never forget once you put this much time. Man, I caught it on that fly that I tied that time, and you always remember it. But it's a lot of little tedious. Making every wrap count.
So are you just trying to even?
Yep, just get.
You're not building anybody. You're just going even.
Just making sure my floss stays nice and smooth. That's with silk especially, it lays so flat that you really have to pay attention. Yeah, she's rolling. The bad part about the silk though is you need a lot of it in that section because it's chewing up a lot as we roll.
Sorry if I forced it on you if you don't want it.
Break my arm. Bend my elbow.
Does anybody know who won the contestant flies last night? Probably Linda over there. She's freaking incredible. Stuff's insane. Like I said, it's tedious. It really is frustrating if you miss it, and a lot of it unspools. It gets.
Yeah.
But like I said, the steelhead are worth it.
Have you watched some pretty good tires here? Have you got around?
I
You've been tying
actually,
a lot, haven't you?
I tied twice yesterday. Today was really the first day that I got to watch anybody. I watched Chewy for a little bit, and I watched Mcnese for a little bit. I mean, those are guys that I've seen their books. You know, I know how big of an influence they've had, especially on my life and others. You know, I mean, their work is inspiring. It's inspired me. That's the beauty of what they do. Out of respect for steelhead is incredible. I mean, they've set the standard. So I've always read about them. Being able to watch them has been awesome. I've seen some of these guys. I cannot remember their names, so I'm a dummy for that. But I was watching the gentleman over there tie just flawless Akroyd earlier, and then I've seen a couple other guys with the Atlantic salmons. I mean, that stuff is insane. They make it look so simple, and it's to me it ain't not even close. I can't even comprehend it. I was like tink 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 done. Like what?
Yeah.
Even though I watched them, I can't believe that it came together like that. You know, I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, the Mcnese, I asked him to tie just his best North Umpqua color, and he tied just a purple, I think he called it Matuka.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, basically just like 3 wings on the back without.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, really just. It was a cool looking pattern, but.
Yeah. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the old ribbon. The metal ribbon on a floss takes some finagling.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you get one side wants to hot right up, and one
How do you
side.
keep it secure? Is that
It secures itself really well. I mean, but it takes some. You kind of got to press and push and pull, and it carries memory, not like normal tensile, you know. So it's.
Yeah.
You kind of got to pull one way, pull another way, and then kind of press it down as you're going, and all kinds of stuff.
Jake Hardy, please step up and claim your rod.
What? It's a good thing my buddy Ori wasn't here because he wins everything. Won a freaking drift boat at a Sturgeon Derby.
Jeez.
Won a 22 at the Kokanee Derby. It's not perfectly even body, half and half, but that's all right.
10. R10.
I don't mind leaving a little bit long in the front because after you add the collar and wing and head and everything, a lot of it dies up in there. You don't get to notice it anyways. So it kind of looks more natural. Kind of an illusion.
Tony Muncie writes, wish I could be there with y'all. Pleasure to have met, collaborated, and learned from y'all.
Yeah,
From all of you. Great meeting you briefly, Joe. Impressed by your work and glad you guys came down. Talk to you each later. Kill it, Jason. You're far better than you give yourself credit for. You'll go down as one of the greats in no time, buddy.
I'm just a guy. Love steelhead, man. That's all I do. Tony's a stud. He's very awesome, nice guy. I can't wait. He's got some ideas he's sharing with me that I know he doesn't want, I'm not supposed to say anything about, but you guys will see him and you'll like him.
Who does they have the Facebook group? Or?
He's just a guy. Yeah. He's just a friend. He's been tying since a kid.
Tyer here.
Yeah.
This weekend. I'll show you his picture here.
He just got some ideas, and he's an artist. Some of the designs he's got, man, are frick incredible. The stuff he's done. I mean, just incredible artist. He draws little cartoons and stuff. I mean, you're just like, what? He drew that? No way. I just cut that and it pulled out.
There he is.
What's that? Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I saw him. Never met him.
You're kidding me.
Well, a dart.
I can say that this stuff is round, where the normal stuff I've had, I think it's uniflex, oval, and it's more square. So when you kind of set it in there, it doesn't move.
Are you going one on each side or just one on?
Just
one?
Just one. It's going to be the
Side
same as the
only.
front. No, it's going to be the same. I leave that little gap in there, and that's where my hackle's going to run.
Ah.
Thanks, bud. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah. I always leave that same as the, just leaving that little gap. That's where my hackle's going to run.
That's a big one for me. I didn't realize you were doing that. I thought you were running that hackle afterwards, right up against it, but it's in between it.
Yep.
Ching ching.
Yep.
Click.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep.
That one clicked.
Yeah, I thought you did it flat, then hackle, then.
I have. No, I used to do that a lot, but hard part about it is when it's okay if you run you can do it the opposite. If you run the oval in front, hackle, and then the flat, you can get the flat up underneath there. But when you're trying to wrap that oval, when you already have this hackle and everything going away, it's a real pain in the you-know-what.
Does it secure the hackle better that way?
This doesn't matter. This is all to keep, yes, it probably does. If you were to do the oval first, hackle, and then the flat next to it, you probably do secure it because you are truly getting a sandwich action.
Yeah, okay.
This is doing the same, but it's more for like teeth and stuff like that, other than actually sandwiching. If you do it where you do one, the hackle, and then the other, you are going to get a better bite because it is actually touching and intertwining and setting.
Pick this up, go over to the tying section, the youth tying section, and they'll get it to you there. And that's Marley, M-A-R-L-E-Y, Hill.
You hear that? Marley Hill just won something.
Yeah. Youth fly tying section.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. That's awesome.
She's gonna come running back here any second.
Make sure she wins it because they're like, I hear them like, oh, he's not here to win his rod. You're good. Yeah. What if she won a rod? That'd be awesome. That's cool.
I got it. I see Jay starting to load up. I'm gonna ask him if he needs any help. I'll be back.
No problem, bud.
Okay.
You're good. Still always kind of working that hackle back as I'm going forward.
Yeah. And what's that hackle there?
Brown heron or swamp
Oh,
crane
heron, yeah, it's
from
Yeah.
Canadian two-fly.
Yeah. Is Canadian two-ply, is that, you get a lot of stuff from them?
Yes and no. I get a lot of heron from them.
Oh, really?
That's one of the only things I get. It's harder because they're in Canada and it takes a while to get everything through. I mean, even this is typically 2-3 weeks to get.
No kidding.
It's.
So you can't go to Hairline and get a.
Yeah, no. It's one of the few places I know. They even sell blue, but you can't get. They won't ship. You can't get it in the States. It's illegal. But this is one of the few places I know to get the brown, and it's unreal. I mean, it's expensive, but there's nothing that comes close to the length.
Huh. When it's so you buy those in just little like individual packages?
Yeah, there's typically 5 feathers in.
Oh, that's it? 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets expensive real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. Somebody was telling me the story of Mcnese. I didn't know hear that polar bear story back in the day. That was how he got, kind of got busted trying to buy a polar bear.
I did not.
Yeah. And they I guess it was like a full-on federal, this is way back in the day.
Right.
They
Oh, yeah.
full-on shut the shop down. And that's why, which is crazy. Think of that, man. That's
Yeah.
damn, you don't want to be messing around with freaking
Yeah.
exotic animals if you're.
It's
Jeez.
well, if it's not certified, I mean, I can remember, you know, what's weird thing is, so when I started tying, and I was like 10, 11, my grandpa and uncle and everybody had polar bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
my dad had a friggin' polar bear head in the back of
Yeah,
his.
and well, my uncle, I mean, he lived in Alaska.
Yeah,
it
no
was,
big deal.
Yeah, it was like nothing for him to have.
Crazy thing is now you look at it with all of the climate change and stuff. I mean, they're freaking struggling all the time.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And seal, I know. I mean, you can
seal
still get
too.
seal.
Yeah.
They sell it on. You can still get it at websites, and I've seen it quite a bit. I have a little bit of seal. I know it's it's nothing like what it used to be, you know. And that was the other thing. It was polar bear. Everybody used polar bear for everything, and seal for everything else. So now we're just getting everything set up.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna do a collar, and then we'll get wings on there.
Yeah.
Duck feathers, flank. See, this might be, this is teal.
Yeah.
Teal's the most common.
So you're not gonna marry the wings or do all that?
Oh yeah.
Are you?
We're gonna get some married.
Okay.
I didn't get to do it yesterday, so I'm doing it for today for sure.
Sweet.
First getting the collar on, I'm gonna have to go to the restroom real quick here in a sec. Dang Gatorade.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it. It's been rolling an hour here.
Right.
It's pretty sweet.
It goes.
That came in just when you were starting your detail.
Yeah, it's a long process. But like I said, it's worth it to me. I mean, the steelhead are worth it.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. The cool thing about it is it's like, you know, I mean, it's history.
Right.
You know, that's the cool thing. You're it's not just like.
There's so much more that you're connecting to than you realize. Yes. Cool. And like, I'm not a big historian buff like Shuey is. I mean, they've looked at the real deal. But I paid attention and read what he said about it, and I appreciate the hell out of what he said and the history of it. And there's so much into these flies that it's. But I'm making it my own, you know. So that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I'll give you a heads up when Shuey's. I interviewed him. It's going to come out in about 4 weeks. I'll give you a heads up when it comes out because he gets into a little bit of history. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
well, I've watched a lot of his posts and small things. Like a lot of these guys pay more attention than other guys realize. Just because they don't hit like on a lot of these posts doesn't mean they're not reading what's been wrote or who's doing this and who's doing this.
Does he have some?
He's in a lot, like the Spey group that I'm in. That's probably the most dominant. The Spey group has the most diverse tyers. There's a lot of guys that really care about.
Not the Spey pages.
The Spey Tyer. It's called the Spey Tyer on Facebook.
On Facebook?
Yep.
Oh, Spey Tyer. Okay.
Yeah. There's the Spey Tyer and the D Tyer. The Spey Tyer, there's.
And Shuey's on there.
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
He don't post very often. No. I've seen him post 2 or 3 times, but he pays. I know he's, he pays attention.
That's cool. Well, yeah, he's got a major magazine. I mean, it's Northwest. He's got 4 major magazines out there. You know, he's the editor.
Is he?
Yeah, Northwest Fly Fishing. That's his magazine. He's got the Southwest Fly Fishing. He's the.
Doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
The guy is a freaking the man.
Totally. Yeah, that blew me away because I didn't even know that when I was younger. I was like, holy crap, he's running 4 magazines too.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
He's a wealth of knowledge, and he's, does beautiful work, and he cares about what he's doing. And it makes sense, you know. Definitely a great ambassador of Spey flies and leader, and it's, he doesn't mix words too, he's not doesn't come off as better than anybody like a lot of the guys do, but that try to, hey, I want to see more structure in this, they kind of take that as, hey, you suck at it. No, hey, bud, I like that you're connecting to the history, but you're doing your own thing, and I admire that, and that's okay. And
what are you trying to get here? Just
my collar.
Just spinning on you a little bit.
Yeah, it's slipping down.
Oh,
so
okay.
I kind of moved the hook up.
Oh, I can't even.
So I fight gravity a little bit more.
I see.
I don't tie with wax. A lot of guys do, and I know that helps a lot with a lot of things, and I hear about that a lot. But I've never used it, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. I'm told the way I tie is like I keep it basic. I don't do anything that I don't have to do.
See, it's the thing is just I know how to fix it. Get a good little. You can build yourself up a little hump in there, and it'll make it.
Oh.
It won't slide very much. Then doesn't hurt your wing set.
Huh.
That's a little trick I've had to do. I would rather not do it, but
Uh-huh.
when it's sliding that much,
Yeah.
it's pretty much the only thing you can do without doing wax. If that.
So heron and teal, those are
Yep.
pretty super common with the deep spade flies.
No, the heron really isn't. I mean,
Oh,
it is by guys who are really into the spays. But you know, it's hard. You know, this is the hooks. This hook's $1.50.
Is it?
The feather's $1.50. You're already into the fly for $3.
No kidding.
And it just broke on me.
Oh, it did. Look at that.
Little bastard. It's all right. It was thick stem. I was trying to make
You
it work.
you want to take a break?
Yeah, those. I was just thinking away on there into the bathroom. You know, there's that Spey tire page. There's some of the best tires, influential, especially cutting edge guys that are really pushing. Like, I've heard a lot about like from Shuey and those guys about how it kind of rolls in cycles.
You mean it's like people coming and going?
No, like Spey flies and D flies and classic flies get some traction to become popular, then they're not popular, then they become popular. Man, I see some of these guys on there, like, have you been on that page?
Is it called the Spey tire?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't really.
Man,
I haven't really.
Dave Tucker, Randy Campbell, Kyle Poley, John Wells. Man, there's so many guys. Yeah. There are so many guys on that page, man, that are just awesome. Well, they're great tires. They're great people.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say.
And they're influential. They help. Joel Hill is standing here. He's pretty new to it.
Yeah,
That's him.
Oh, really?
I've never met him except for on that.
Yeah, I've seen his name out there. That's right. Joe Hill, actually, I've seen because, totally.
These guys he's just getting into it. These guys, are really
I
pushing
appreciate about them. They're great tires, but I appreciate that they're gentlemen.
Yes.
When they talk to you like a gentleman would talk to you.
Yeah.
You don't get like, hey, you don't fuck.
Right.
Why are you doing it that way?
Or belittling you because you're trying to learn something. They help. Hey, you're doing it wrong. I wouldn't even worry about that material. Try this. And those guys really
Is that what the forum is or the Facebook page is like? That group? Is it? What is mostly people asking, or are they just seeing other people's flies?
Most people just post and share their influence, and then
Flies mainly, I'd say.
and then you meet the guys that some of the I would say the more experienced guys really will help the guys that they can tell, hey, you got talent.
Yeah.
Here's some help. Here's some advice. Hey, this might help you become better. And I can say from experience, those guys have helped me become such a better tire. Helped me with material. I've got some material from those guys that. I've made myself tie so much better because out of respect that, hey, they gave me this material. I can't make it look like crap. And it made me so much better.
Yeah.
It really has. Those guys are influential as heck. And they're all, a lot of them too are doing new things that really inspire you and influence you to, hey, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to try that out. It's probably the best group that I'm on for my style.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of groups, but those guys we're all. It's a Spey tire, so we all see eye to eye. We all see eye to eye at what we're trying to.
Page. I got myself in trouble on that page. I started getting under his wing and doing what I was trying to do.
He didn't get in trouble. Some
Not
people.
trouble, but
Right. Well,
I pushed a fly to the edge, and I did it on purpose because I wanted to see what kind of flack I was going to get. And I got some pretty enough to make me think like,
Yeah, that wasn't right.
well, not necessarily that it wasn't the right thing to do, but
That's not the place for me.
yeah, it's just not the place for me because I'm not a rules guy. I'm not a it has to be this or that.
It's
I'm
like
a
the
freestyler, like you.
Like the DeFi, you're saying it's on the river, on that river.
Yeah, yeah,
That-
yeah.
Or it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Right, and and you can get the difference that like Sid Glosso was one of the biggest, one of the biggest names in Spey. On the D style, there was no Sid Glosso. So, that's his own style, and that's a different Spey style, but it's allowed on the Spey page where the D guys they tie some freestyle and they tie some absolutely beautiful, but certain people frown upon that. And it's discouraging for some guys and not discouraging for others. For a guy like me, it's like, hey man, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. I'm just trying to tie something in that style that I like because I think that style is incredible. I'm not trying to disgrace the style by not following the pattern. And that's the way most guys are. So got a little bit thinner stem going here. That's gonna
I
give us.
didn't quit the page and I didn't go away because I like a lot of the flies that are. I like flies off the Spey tyer daily.
Yeah.
And I'll make comments once in a while, but I don't post any of my flies on there. Just because I'm more of a tube and intruder guy, to be honest.
Yep.
There's innovation in all flies, and it doesn't matter whether it's a trout fly. Doesn't matter if you're a trout guy or if you're a steelhead guy or an Atlantic salmon guy. You can easily tell when someone's putting their passion into their flies, and that's all I care about, honestly.
Knowles was putting any tickets in the raffle. So my wife just dumped tickets into the raffle. 2 out of 4.
Dude,
Where are these?
That's goose shoulder, isn't it?
yeah, goose feathers. Looks like goose. Oh man,
Yeah.
hell yeah,
I'll be
buddy.
tying lots of red stuff.
Yeah, you are.
Red stuff here.
Yeah, you are. What?
We're doing mine.
You're gonna take off? I don't blame you. You guys got a long ride, huh?
We do.
I understand.
Dude, it's very nice to meet you.
You too, Joel. Seriously, bud. Pleasure. No, thank you, buddy.
The flies,
Thank you.
Everything.
My pleasure, man. Stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Maybe if we can get up there, we'll go fishing together. Definitely. If you come down here, you're more than welcome. We'll figure something out. Very nice meeting all you guys. You guys drive safe.
Stay in touch. If you need anything, holler.
All right.
Okay.
See you guys.
See you guys.
See, like Joel, I met him on the Spey page.
Yep.
And there's so many great connections, and
Yep.
I get we gotta stick to some kind of stylishness to it to keep it a Spey fly,
Totally.
but keeping, I'm glad that there's enough leniency for guys to make connections like that.
Yeah.
Like I've never met Joel other than his
No.
ties, but I can tell he's passionate, so we have a lot in common. I mean, it's great.
It's pretty cool. You wonder, like, back in, this event obviously is a huge, this is like a one of a kind almost, this size.
That's what I heard.
You wonder before, all the online and Facebook pages and stuff, people, I guess you just didn't connect with somebody.
Yeah,
that
you
were-
probably had a group that only went to certain.
Yeah.
And it was anybody that you were
Totally.
associated with. But outside of that,
And that's what's cool, like for my thing, because I'm trying to interview everybody wherever steelhead. So I'm hitting Great Lakes, I'm hitting Alaska, everywhere, and it's like I've already interviewed some huge, awesome people from like I would have never connected on the East Coast.
sure.
Great
Right.
Lakes, never talked to him. And I talked to this guy, Peter Charles, who just killed it. I mean, he was like breaking out stuff. Like, damn, he's thinking. He's a rep for TF or for Airflow and stuff like that. So. But yeah, I love it, man. I love all this stuff. I'm actually thinking of an idea, maybe. I'm not sure if it would fly, but I'm kind of thinking about doing some sort of almost like this, but all online. Like creating a platform where you could have a convention or an expo, an online virtual, and maybe, I don't know if it'd be just fly tying, but maybe just kind of like this, but virtual. So maybe you come on and watch some a session. You know, maybe Jason or you can come on and do a special, talk about D-flies or whatever.
Yeah.
Chewy or whoever. Don't know. It's kind of an idea. It'd be probably a good year of preparation or whatever.
Like
I don't
it.
think there's anything like that out there, Roy. There's a lot of
That's cutting edge thinking.
yeah.
there.
There's a lot of YouTube stuff, obviously, and stuff like that. But really, like a place online. A lot of people, when you hear the online, they're like, I don't know, man, online. But I don't know. I'll let you guys.
Anyways, everything's changing to that.
know. Yeah, it has.
I mean, I've literally only been on Facebook and stuff maybe a year and a couple months.
Totally. Yeah, and I see your stuff. I mean, before we met,
Yeah.
dude, you were just like, it was like, damn, yeah, your stuff is all over the place. This guy.
I share it everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just because I like to share. I mean,
As different as it can get.
Is it? I mean, to me, that just looks like a cool fly. I mean,
Yeah, it does
You mean
look
just like the? I mean, it looks like it's more of a traditional.
Yeah, the body and everything is traditional,
yeah,
but
traditional.
the rest of it's got sugar written all
Yeah.
over it, in my mind anyway.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I almost look at it and think like if it had almost like a fish taco, if it had a
Yeah.
bunch of, yeah. It's cool. Totally.
That's why I like freestyle. It's just mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's great.
Now comes the fun part, marrying.
Oh, here it is. This is the best
Oh
part.
boy.
I don't have swan. I've heard swan is the best stuff in the world, but I don't have any of it. Someday. And I'm actually gonna do a little bit of some secret sauce, some Argus centers. This stuff is incredible, beautiful stuff.
Almost looks fake.
Oh my God, is that? What is that? That's some
Argus.
Argus,
Wow, dude, that is awesome.
yes.
Where do you
is-
get it?
Yeah, where do you get Canada?
No, that one's for Feathers MC. It's just online. I've heard so much stuff about them.
Big bucks?
It's not too expensive at all. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And because it's incredible and expensive, I'm only putting 2 fibers. It's just going to be my center, but at least there's some Argus in this D-wing. It'd be pretty cool, as is, a D-wing, but Marion
There's
is...
a left and a right.
Yep, always pairs. You got to have pairs.
Dude, you got a serious shake going on. You need to drink a beer.
I'm good. I'm good.
That's what the chew isn't the chew supposed
Yeah,
to
there
say?
you go. Yeah, there you go. And a pea. Chewing a pea out and took care of that.
Yeah.
It almost did.
Yeah, I used to. I chewed since I was somewhere in high school. Chewed for probably 20 years. I quit when my for various reasons, but
You're smart.
But I quit about 6 years ago, and I tell you, it took me quite a number of years to get to that point where when somebody was doing it, it didn't bother me. Now I'm kind of past it, just because it's been long enough.
Dude.
Because I loved it. Copenhagen, man, I was like, dude,
Yep.
it was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I
Sure.
quit for 3 weeks as far as I got,
Yeah.
and I went fishing
Totally.
with my dad and my uncle.
Yep.
And it was one time in a long time that I didn't catch fish,
Yeah.
and I wanted to kick every single person on that
Yeah.
river's ass. My pole was
I
up the
know.
bank more times than I
Dude,
count. I went
I
to the
hear it.
store, bought a can, and I went back the next day and killed the fish.
Yeah. I was so.
And elk hunting,
If
man.
you go to if you Google search "quit dipping tobacco," I think it'll probably come up. I wrote an article about it on another website that I used to do because it was so like such a thing. It was like, okay, here's my 11 tips that helped me quit,
Yeah.
and to this day, it's like ranked in Google in the top 5
dude.
because I get comments all the time. People are like, dude, I'm trying to quit, man. Thank you for your article, dude. It helped me like one more day. Yeah, so it's been kind of. That's probably of everything I've written. That's probably been the best thing, you know.
This is
And
floor
that
can,
feather is what?
floor can bustard.
Oh wow, that's a sweet one too, man.
This is, I forgot I have, this is what I was talking about. It as, you know, as fibers go, I mean, it's so soft compared to, and I think like stuff like that is what they were talking about when they were talking about Gled as a traditional
Oh, yeah.
wing. That's really what I was thinking, that it's the softest thing. Like turkey's way stiffer. You can't do that with turkey and
No,
not have it
no.
fibers come apart.
No, totally.
And on lefts and lefts and rights and rights. So I
I'm
got
thinking like that What's this one again?
Argus.
I'm thinking a full Argus wing on both sides. It's fat, half-inch thick.
Yeah,
That
right.
is cool looking.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
That is a cool.
If
feather.
I had-
don't think- I've never seen it
If I
in
had
person like that.
If I had more of it, I would easily do it.
So you just match it up and then you just use your fingers to smooth it together? and-
Yeah. You know, they're like Velcro.
Yeah.
Each section
yeah, totally.
has
Get
a
the
little,
little. Yep.
and so
Yep.
when you get it, the Florican and Argus really like to stick.
Yep.
You know, they really do. Goose is
Exactly.
another one that really.
Huh.
Peacock loves to stick. Certain other feathers don't. Probably some of the most beautiful feathers out there, I would say, are like pheasant tails, golden pheasant, Lady
Yeah.
Amherst. Beautiful materials, but they are so hard to get to stick together.
Yeah.
And then what are you gonna put those on?
What's that?
Those are gonna go on what?
We're gonna go on the wing.
No. Those combinations are gonna be. Are you gonna add, just keep adding more to
Yeah.
make it thicker?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the desired thing. I always match, so I got 2 fibers of the Argus and 4 fibers of the Florican.
Okay.
And it's tough seeing this stuff.
How's your day going?
Did you win anything? Oh man. Did you go into any of the raffles? What's that? You
She
did.
didn't want to win any raffle.
I don't blame you.
I've been fly tying all day.
Ah,
Oh, even better.
very good.
I didn't know. I just ordered it. That's a
And you want to make sure you're doing each one following it. You know, they're opposite, so you kind of make sure each one's going on the top or bottom. And they're, I mean, once you really kind of touch these things together, they stick. I mean, you can see, once I get one little section to touch, then you kind of glide everything else together.
Cool.
We're gonna do peacock now. I would like, no, I got some pretty purple.
That's what? Goose shoulder?
Yeah, just more goose. Long enough.
That's a set.
Yeah. I just want to, that's what I've been using. I just want to make sure I got the length I'm looking for.
Why? Rather I made cookies.
Length sometimes. That's going to be too short.
Since this one's going to you, orange or
It's going to be this.
How many?
4. That's going to be short, ain't it? Yeah. Must be a reason why I'm using these ones. They're the longest I got.
what do you call that? What did you say it was? Yeah, it is. Bingo.
How many?
4. Scissors are sharp.
You're not used to that.
No, no.
There's nothing like good tools, especially a good sharp pair of scissors. Nothing like it. Are you tying Dave?
I tied yesterday. Yeah, I was just tying up some. Just some typical some sugar stuff and some basic stuff. Tied up some pick your pockets.
Oh yeah.
Simon Gosworth, I interviewed him on number 9, and that was his favorite.
I gotta show you
That was
these.
his fly, so I had to tie it.
I tied this order for Hazlitt. Pick your pocket.
Yeah, I love to see it. Yeah, because I haven't seen too many styles. I just kind of grabbed one from wherever the hell I was.
I love peacock, so I'm putting some peacock. I might, look good with the black edge on there. Like I said, I just go with how I feel. You know, I really like.
Black is contrasting for sure. Here we go. Okay, there's a.
I could have some.
Tie this in so the wings are about as long as the length from here to here. Experience tells me that's about right. See how flared up there?
Oh, there you go.
I did it in blue.
Yeah, that's exactly the same me too. That's what I did in today. Yeah.
Blue.
Yep.
And then I had.
Totally, man. That looks like the same exact pattern. It's awesome. I love that. That was such that blue color there.
Yeah, I like it
It's
too.
great.
And then I did it in purple.
Oh, cool.
Here, I did it black, purple, blue. Here's the whole order.
So you're down in, you said California, or are you doing?
No, Rogue River.
Oh, you're Rogue, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, you're down there a little ways. There you go, yeah, in purple. Yep. You got a little, and all it is just a little, I mean, it's kind of an intruder style. It's got the two stations, but it's just more streamlined.
Yeah,
It's more of a
streamlined,
tight-
yes.
It's supposed to be more of a sparser, thinner.
Yep.
Even though it's got those grizzly hackles, which like you got a bunch of those on there, they still, I guess, kind of sit down.
Yeah. At first I was using a little bit of deer hair in there, but it just got to be such a pain, and I called John up and said, dude, I'm not going to use deer hair on the rest of them. He goes,
Oh, you were
"No
using deer
problem."
hair on the head? Oh, you were, yeah. Totally, I was just wrapping some dubbing. Yeah. So is this a good, I mean, summer steelhead, is this thing gonna?
Yeah.
That's probably a pretty,
Both winter and summer.
Because for summers, you could, I mean, that'd be that, and that's I think what Simon was talking about was like, I mean, that'd be a Deschutes fly if you wanted to really get some fish going, right? Mm-hmm. Swinging it down.
Sure. Yeah, because there's so much movement.
That's cool. That's so the Rogue, man. You're on pretty much like one of the rivers I'd fish every day if I could. The thing is, we've done the wild and scenic section. I've probably done it half a dozen times, and God,
It's cool.
I mean, just forget about the fishing. Just the whole trip.
Just
is-
being there.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's really nice place to go. When you go fishing there, you're always fishing and you're always in a beautiful place. So you got two things going for you
Yep.
anytime you go.
Totally.
Even if it's raining.
Yeah, and it's warm. And
Yep.
it's just you can swim.
I can
water's-
be in the river after work, go home and come back in 20 minutes. Every night if I want to.
Are
It
you-
goes right down through the downtown Rogue River.
Oh, that's it.
All right, you ready to see?
Yeah, you ready to do this?
Yep.
So you married those babies?
You got two sets, one on each
Look
side.
at that. So the work's done.
Hold over. I'm gonna trim them a little bit.
Yeah, looks awesome. Perfect.
No pressure, but she was standing right there.
I know. I saw her. The young lady that was here, I gave her a fly too. She was with him. He was just teaching her earlier this
That
morning.
might be Chewy's daughter.
That's what I don't think it is. He was saying, but still,
There you
great
go.
ambassador to the sport. Now I like to turn it up so I can see everything in a straight line.
Turn towards
You
you.
want to
Yeah.
see the top of the
I want
back.
to see
Oh,
it
really?
the
Yeah.
dead center of the back. And I always start with the opposite side wing.
Because you're doing the, is this the D?
Yep, the flat.
Flat.
Yep.
I feel so bad you got that shake.
That's
you
all
must
right.
be used to it though.
Yeah. Might have had one too many amps. This morning. They're not the easiest set. They take some time sometimes.
And you do one at a time, not two.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you rolled on me.
I don't know what John is.
I like them long. And there's kind of one set. I'm going to get another wrap on there.
How's that look? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. That's yeah. Nice.
The far side's a little bit harder to set sometimes, especially for me, because you're clamping it down and it wants to roll off the side of the head.
Yeah.
Close
That's quite a
side.
combination. That purple. How'd you decide on it? You're just kind of going with it.
This is your place for the tyer to pick his palette. But you know what I did? I messed up. I got to reset it because my other wing isn't long enough. So maybe I should do that a little bit better. Because you want them to be about the same length.
All right.
They look the same length to me.
That's a sweet combo.
See how?
Oh, I see.
I tied it in and it was pretty deep.
Oh yeah.
So since this one's short, I'm going to do the short section first because then I can match the length a lot easier. Oh, come on. Get another wrap on there, and I can start setting it the way I want it to sit. Don't be doing that.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive items left on the silent auction table. So if you're lucky enough to purchase something else,
I like to have them to have a nice bend to the back.
thank you.
You get into some of those bigger steelhead out there. You fish for like more of the, not the half pounders, but some of the.
Well, let's just say this. I've only been spey fishing for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I haven't caught one on a spey rod.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many I've caught.
Oh yeah. So you caught them.
Here and
You
other
caught them.
ways.
And is it an upper river thing? More of an upper river getting into them, or like where guys you can just go
From
anywhere?
Grants Pass
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. So it is. It is.
Yeah. Middle River's good.
Okay. But like
But
the wild and scenic section is. Oh. Well, no, Grant's.
So it's upper is from the dam to like Tuville, Medford area.
Okay.
From the dam to what's called Fisher's Ferry in Gold Hill
Okay.
is the upper.
That's upper.
And from Fisher's Ferry in Gold Hill all the way down to Rainyish Falls is middle.
Oh, okay.
And from Rainyish to the coast is scenic.
So rainy-ish. Okay.
Yeah.
So rainy falls.
Rainy Falls, yeah.
So basically, yeah. So then the lower, that's pretty much the lower than that lower that wild and scenic most of it. Rainy falls is because
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, you call it lower or wild and scenic, same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you're getting your fish upriver.
Yep. I've been fishing down in the canyon 2 miles above Rainy, but thinking that they're all stacked up in there because it's so low and clear. But got 32 hours on the rod, locked, and not one tug.
Yep.
Then I broke my rod and I was out game for a while. I only had one rod. But I got it back the other day. I tell you, I got that back.
Yes.
They took good care of me. Reddington.
Cool.
No questions asked.
Yeah, Reddington, I don't have any of their rods, but I have a pair of their waders that I've just abused, and they are just bomb.
They just came out with a new model, I guess, called the Sun.
Oh, the new waders?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna get them for sure. They're every bit as good as any Sims we've as far as durability.
I'm wearing Sims now, but
Tyers for being here to share your knowledge and your expertise.
that would be you,
This
Jason.
is pretty cool here in the closing remarks. I haven't been there at the full deal. That's awesome.
Got kicked out yesterday.
Did you? Oh, that looks sweet. I love that purple with the natural. That's a
I got kind of.
And there's kind of the,
yeah. It looks sweet, dude. That is awesome.
Just laying flat.
Yeah. So what happens when that thing gets kind of worked around a little bit? Maybe a fish bites it. And
they kind of split. They're going to split and tear apart as they come.
Yep.
But that's part of the game, you know. I think that just adds to it. You know, the movement. I mean, even just swinging it, they're gonna split. They're gonna come apart. But then it's, you know, then that's. I think that's where the intruder whole idea came from, is seeing these kind of flies wet.
I used Vista.
You know, I really do.
Stuff they had. So I'm thinking,
I was gonna put jungle cock, but I'm not gonna.
I think it looks sweet just like it does. Do you ever use the? Yeah, you always use natural jungle cock.
Yeah. If I could dye it, I would.
What about the artificial or the little things that come off like stickers? You pull them. How is that?
I love it.
Yeah, you use them.
Oh yeah.
So what do you do? So you just stick them on in times?
No. Well, it's okay. So you know how you wrap a house in that white tie back?
Yeah.
That's what it's made out of, and you can't pull one off a card and pull it apart.
Oh, you can't?
That's why I like them.
So when
They're
you
so
put them on,
tough.
you tie them in the same way you would a normal.
Exactly.
But it doesn't have a sticky back.
No
Oh, it
sticky
doesn't?
back.
Oh, okay.
No. Jen, if you get the ones from
Yeah. So it's just a
who's
normal.
making it? Pro Sport Fisher makes
Okay,
some
Pro
that
Sport.
I use.
Gotcha.
If it has the white back, that's Gen 1. But they went to Gen, and Gen 2, I think it's got the black back. I like the white back because I started taking markers and coloring the white backs, and it was bleeding through,
Oh yeah.
and it really gave it a really cool effect.
I took them off and I'm resetting them.
You didn't like it? What, for length? Matching length?
No, one was just curving not right. The way I like it.
Right on. Tying today, huh? Awesome. You want to come and sit? Okay. Step up so you can see. There you go.
There, that one's sitting better. There, sitting a lot better now.
that's why I wasn't really thrilled, because they didn't help me a whole lot.
There's kind of the finish.
That's sweet.
You kind of want to see at that front part where dead center they come together.
Yep. They cross right out over
Yep.
and then.
Are they marrying? Do they touch?
No,
No.
they're just each individual wing is married and that's it.
Okay.
There, that's how I like them to look. They have a nice kind of curve in.
Oh man, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 4 different feathers in there?
Yep.
Very, yeah. And the outside is like a green? What was that one?
Black.
Oh, it's
I
black.
put black on there. It kind of has a natural green shine
Oh,
to it, you know.
That's really cool.
And I would put, like I said, I would normally put some JC, but
Yep.
everybody's basically going to be kicking us out. Now I got to finish her off. I really like fingernail clippers to clip
Yeah, I was
them.
noticing that.
Most
Do you
people
think
don't.
they cut tighter or something? Or?
Yeah, because I don't do the whole wing. I just go in and grab a couple fibers and then get it right down to my tie-in point. Flip them off.
There's no sound. No sales tax.
Never pull, always clip, make sure they're cut clean. Because if you pull, especially on married wings, it really messes them up. See, and then, I mean, I got really not very much to cover at all.
Yeah, tiny little head.
They got commercialism.
And that's another thing. One thing I read about the D's especially was they were very specific about tiny heads more so than any other fly I've ever read about. They say that that's tiny head allows more current to grab the wings and let them do their thing.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, if
That
you
was-
get
that was-
a big bulky thing will be displacing it.
Yep.
See ya, dude.
Yeah, it's cool seeing some of the kids here. That's definitely good.
Me and Shu were talking about the kids that
Yeah.
were tying in the parking lot this afternoon.
Dang it, if he was out,
That's the future,
I would
man.
have. I was gonna give him the fly.
Yeah.
Give me one to give him, and I'll go give it to him. And I'll tell him it's from you.
It's not very. I'll give him something a little bit more fancy.
I don't write anything down, so I can never
man.
get in something exact.
That's the bad part about when you're doing your heads. They like to slide off. And they got it loose.
That one there is probably starting with the golden olive,
That's all right.
maybe leaving it or taking it.
If you can get it once, you can get it again. Yeah.
No, I told him his eyes lit up like light bulbs.
Good.
I heard him over I gotta go see if Millard over there at OPST needs any help. I'll be around to help you in a second.
Okay, bro.
Okay.
Yep. God damn, these shit are sharp.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's 5 o'clock. And when 5 o'clock means it's time to start bugging out. As in, it's time to buy whatever you're doing, pack up your equipment, and
Just gotta glue the head. That's all we gotta do.
we really appreciate you coming to the show, but it's time to pack up and leave. This means you now, Gordon.
You'd be proud of him after she went to the restaurant, got a sandwich, so I had a quarter of a club, a little bit more, and a yogurt. Yeah, from the yogurt. Get the hell out. He's the writing. He's on the writing process.
We still have some items in the side of the function.
what cement are you using now?
Flopsy.
Yeah.
It's what I got. I know there's better. I'd like these hard nailed, but they're still pretty thin. And the way I do it is I kind of go around once,
Yeah.
and it has some time to soak up in. Then I do another time, and when it dries, it's real nice. There she is.
Sweet, man. Nice work.
That's fun. And I just kind of open her up, make sure my eye's good.
Yeah. It's awesome. Hour and 40 minutes. Yeah.
That's quick.
That's amazing. Isn't that funny how fast that goes on?